The office trip. When I went on an office trip with two of my colleagues, I had no idea it would turn into a thrilling experience that I'd remember for a long time. It was supposed to be a simple business trip filled with meetings, formal dinners, and the usual routine, but things quickly took a twist that I never expected. The trip started like any other. I packed my bags, made sure I had all my work essentials, and checked into the hotel where we would be staying for the next few days. It was a beautiful hotel with a view overlooking the mountains, and the atmosphere was refreshing. My two colleagues, Ria and Arjun, had arrived before me. They both seemed genuinely excited for the trip, although we knew that work would keep us busy most of the time. On the first day, everything went smoothly. We attended the meetings and then went out for dinner as a team. Ria and Arjun were warm and friendly, and we talked about our lives outside work, which was something we rarely did at the office. It felt good to be around people who understood the pressures of work life, and I thought I had formed a real bond with them. However, on the second night, things started getting strange. I had just returned to my room after a long day of meetings when I found a note slipped under my door. It was handwritten, and the message was simple: "Meet us at midnight on the rooftop." I was puzzled. Was this a prank? Were Ria and Arjun behind this? I decided to ignore it, thinking it might be a random note left for the wrong person. But as midnight approached, my curiosity grew. I kept thinking about that note, wondering if I should just check it out. I decided to go, thinking it might be a harmless joke. When I reached the rooftop, it was eerily quiet, and there was nobody around. The cool breeze sent chills down my spine, and the city lights flickered in the distance. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around quickly, only to find Ria and Arjun standing there with sly smiles on their faces. I asked them what they were up to, but they didn't say much, just told me to follow them. I hesitated, but they looked serious, and my curiosity got the better of me. They led me down a hallway and into a small, dimly lit room that looked like it hadn't been used in years. There was an air of mystery, and I could feel the suspense building. Ria and Arjun had transformed from my friendly colleagues into people I barely recognized. They closed the door behind us and looked at me with an intensity that made me uneasy. I was about to ask them what this was all about when Ria spoke, her voice low and steady. "We know you've been curious about us," she said, glancing at Arjun, "but there are things you don't know." I laughed nervously, thinking they were playing some kind of prank, but the look on their faces told me otherwise. Arjun stepped forward and started telling me about a secret they had kept for years. They were part of a mysterious group within the company, one that no one else knew about. It sounded like something out of a thriller novel, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They revealed that this group was involved in influencing major decisions within the company, from hiring new employees to making crucial business moves. They were trusted by the higher-ups, but worked in secrecy. I was taken aback, but something about the way they spoke made me believe them. They were sharing things that seemed too real to be made up. The more they spoke, the more I felt myself getting drawn into their world of mystery and suspense. It felt surreal, and I started wondering if I had unknowingly stumbled into something dangerous. They didn't stop there. Ria and Arjun hinted that the group had plans that went beyond the company, plans that could impact people outside the organization. I was overwhelmed, and my head was spinning with questions. Why were they telling me this? Why now? And what did they want from me? Finally, Arjun looked me in the eye and asked, "Are you in?" I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to say yes, to dive into this world of secrets and power. But another part of me wanted to run, to escape the room and pretend this conversation never happened. The tension was palpable, and I felt like I was caught in a trap. Seeing my hesitation, Ria spoke again. She told me that they had chosen me for a reason. They believed I had the potential to be part of this group, to work alongside them in shaping the company's future. Her words were flattering, and I felt a strange sense of pride, but I also felt fear. This wasn't the kind of life I had envisioned for myself. The suspense was killing me, and I didn't know how to respond. After what felt like hours, I told them I needed time to think. They didn't press further, but told me to meet them at the same place the next night if I decided to join them. I returned to my room, my mind racing with everything I had heard. I barely slept, replaying the conversation over and over in my head, wondering if I should go back to the rooftop the following night. The next day, I avoided Ria and Arjun as much as possible, but they acted as if nothing had happened. They were their usual friendly selves, and nobody else seemed to notice anything unusual. I felt like I was living in two different worlds, one where everything was normal, and another filled with secrets and suspense. As midnight approached, I made my decision. I headed to the rooftop, heart pounding, unsure of what would happen next. When I arrived, Ria and Arjun were already there, waiting for me. I told them I was ready to join them, though I still wasn't entirely sure if it was the right choice. They smiled, and we went back to the hidden room. This time, they revealed even more about their plans and what my role would be. Over the next few days, I found myself becoming part of their world, sharing in the secrets they had guarded so closely. It was a strange and thrilling experience, filled with suspense at every turn. I had gone on a simple office trip, but I returned with a story that would stay with me forever, one I could never share openly. It was a secret, a thrilling story that would remain between the three of us, a memory of the night my life took an unexpected turn, and I became part of something far beyond the ordinary. From that point on, everything in my life seemed to take on a different tone. Ria and Arjun had pulled me into a world where every action, every word, and every look could mean more than it seemed. We returned to the office as if nothing had changed, yet everything felt different. I now carried a piece of knowledge that made ordinary tasks feel laced with hidden meanings, secret plans, and silent exchanges. At first, My new role was simple: observe and report. Ria and Arjun explained that the company was more intricate than I'd realized, with hidden layers that most employees would never notice. They asked me to pay attention to meetings, watching for subtle cues, noting who seemed nervous or who hesitated before answering certain questions. Slowly, I began to see patterns, small details that I would have otherwise ignored. Even the most mundane conversations took on new weight. One evening, I was asked to join Ria and Arjun for dinner at a restaurant outside the city. It felt strange, like a business meeting in disguise. They were testing me, making sure I understood the stakes and the level of discretion required. They talked about loyalty, trust, and how secrecy was the lifeblood of what we were doing. I realized they weren't just asking for my cooperation, they were asking for my commitment, a kind of loyalty that blurred the lines between personal and professional. The dinner ended late, and as we drove back, Ria turned to me and said something that sent a chill down my spine. "Once you're in, there's no way out. But don't worry, we'll look out for you." Her words lingered in my mind, a promise and a warning wrapped in one. In the following weeks, I found myself slipping further into this secretive world. Ria and Arjun began involving me in small tasks, things that seemed inconsequential at first. I would drop off documents at specific places, send emails to contacts I'd never heard of, and on a few occasions, take calls on behalf of Ria without asking questions. These tasks felt harmless on the surface, yet I knew they were part of something larger, something I wasn't fully allowed to understand yet. But then, one day, I received an email from an unknown sender. The message was brief, just a few lines, but it was enough to throw me off balance. It read, "Are you aware of the risks you're taking? Think carefully. There are consequences." My heart raced as I reread the message. Who could this be? Was it someone from within the company who had caught wind of my involvement with Ria and Arjun? Or was it an outsider, someone who knew more than they should? When I showed the email to Ria and Arjun, their reactions were calm, almost practiced. They didn't seem surprised or even worried. Instead, they exchanged a look I couldn't quite decipher. Ria then took my phone, deleted the email without hesitation, and handed it back to me. "Ignore it," she said. "We're aware of those who might try to interfere. Just stay focused." Her dismissal was supposed to be reassuring, but instead, it left me feeling more unsettled. Over time, I began noticing subtle changes in myself. I was more cautious, more observant. I started keeping secrets even from friends and family. I felt like I was living a double life, with one foot in my regular world and the other in a world filled with shadows and hidden agendas. And yet, despite the strangeness, there was a thrill to it, an adrenaline rush that kept me going. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a late evening, and I was asked to meet Ria and Arjun at an address I didn't recognize. It was an old building on the outskirts of town, far removed from the bustling city center. When I arrived, the atmosphere was tense. and I could sense something was different. They didn't greet me with the usual casual small talk. Instead, Ria handed me a small locked briefcase and told me to deliver it to an address a few miles away. I hesitated, feeling an inexplicable dread, but they both looked at me expectantly. This was my test, my initiation in a way. I took the briefcase, feeling the weight of their trust and perhaps their expectations on my shoulders. I didn't ask questions. I simply left, the briefcase sitting ominously in the passenger seat beside me. The drive was dark and lonely. The roads were quiet, and I found myself glancing nervously at the briefcase. What could be inside it? I tried not to think about it, focusing instead on reaching my destination. But halfway there, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I picked up, expecting to hear Ria or Arjun's voice, but instead, there was silence, and then a muffled voice said, "Turn back. Don't deliver it. Trust me." My grip tightened on the wheel, and I glanced at the briefcase again. Part of me wanted to turn around, to call Ria and tell her something had come up, but I knew I couldn't back out now. This was a defining moment, one that would either secure my place in their world or cast me out. I hung up the call and continued driving. When I finally reached the address, a tall man in a dark coat was waiting for me outside an abandoned building. He nodded when he saw me, gesturing for the briefcase. I handed it to him, and without a word, he disappeared into the shadows. I didn't wait around. I turned and left, feeling a strange mixture of relief and anxiety. The following day, Ria and Arjun acted as if nothing had happened. There was no mention of the briefcase or the phone call, but when they looked at me, I could tell something had shifted. They knew I was committed now, that I had crossed a line and proven myself. After that night, I became more deeply involved in their plans. The tasks became more intricate, the risks higher. I had stepped fully into a world I couldn't escape, bound by secrets and promises I couldn't break. And though I sometimes questioned my choices, there was a part of me that had come to embrace the mystery, the thrill, the feeling of being part of something bigger than myself. In the end, the office trip that had started as an ordinary work assignment had turned into a journey that changed me forever. It was no longer just a memory or a story. It was now a part of who I was. And as I continued down this path, I realized that some secrets are meant to be kept, some stories left untold, and some paths only walked by those who are willing to risk everything. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more exciting, suspenseful stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. There's so much more to come, and I promise you won't want to miss a single moment of it.